This is the United Nations Island, a position where every single nation in the world has military soldiers and equipment stationed. And once again, Roman legionnaires have invaded the modern day, taking a portal from ancient Rome to the United Nations Island. Right now, 10,000 Russian modern soldiers stand at the forward operating post of the island fortress, and they need to hold out against 6 million Roman soldiers for as long as possible so the island can get additional nuclear bombs deployed. For every 100,000 Romans defeated by these Russian preliminary guards, 1 nuclear missile system will be brought onto the island for the island invasion. So, this first battle will have high stakes for the actual island defense later in this video. Let's get into it. What's up, gamers? I'm here to tell you about Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an amazing place where you can get some fire deals on all sorts of video games. Seriously, it's like 60 to 95% off, as you can see here. These are all of the Star Wars titles they have. They literally have every Star Wars title. You can also get XCOM here, Men of War Assault Squad 2. All of the games I play on the channel you can buy here for extremely cheap prices. If you use my affiliate link in the description, it helps me out a ton. So thank you guys for listening to this sponsorship, and thank you to Instant Gaming for continuing to sponsor the channel. Alrighty then, boyos, let's go ahead and press start right here, and 6 million Roman soldiers begin their death charge. Again, every 100,000 Romans that these defenders end up killing is 1 nuclear missile system brought to the island defense in the next battle we do in this video. They have about 1,000 ghillie suit snipers out here, as well as 9,000 of these PKM soldiers here with the light machine guns, and they have, I believe it's like 30 or 40 of these TOS systems, which are beautiful missile systems capable of shredding the enemy soldiers as they come up the mountain. So this small little hill fortress that is a preliminary fortress to the actual island fortress is holding out as best they can, but here come Roman legionnaires death charging on forward. We've got Roman legionnaires on the battlefield, Praetorian guards, auxiliary spearmen, archers. We have Roman generals on the battlefield. We've got it all, baby. We are going above and beyond with the sheer quality, quantity, and difference in Roman soldiers that will be coming on up. Here are some of those Praetorian guards marching on up here against the modern Russian soldiers, and they're actually getting a few swings in there, getting a couple kills here and there. Now, they do have the high ground advantage, but they don't have much of a choke point with which they can hold out from, so the Roman soldiers are going to have an easier time actually making it up the mountain and taking out some of these guys, unlike when the actual battle for the island takes place a little bit later on, where we're going to be seeing a ton of choke points really holding out, potentially, hopefully, maybe, because you never know. These battles can go any which way, and it can be rough, to say the very least. Either way, right now it does seem like they are holding pretty decently. There's a ton of Roman soldiers over this way, full charging these PKM soldiers over here, and we have the TOS systems shredding point blank. Look at that, just lobbing missiles straight ahead of themselves. If there was friendly fire in this game, they would be doing a lot of friendly fire right now, so it's lucky that that doesn't exist. At the moment, there's 5.77 million remaining Roman army soldiers, so right now they're at 2 nuclear missile systems that are going to be available to them, and there's 9,235 Russian soldiers remaining. Of course, kills are exponential in this, so when more of these soldiers end up dying, they're going to be getting less and less kills, but right now 1,000 soldiers have managed to get about 200,000 kills. So potentially, if all 10,000 soldiers end up with that same mark, we might be looking at 20 or so nuclear missile systems. But again, it's going to be an exponential downfall, depreciation, So more than likely we will be looking at maybe like 10 or so nuclear missile systems. Hopefully that would be really pretty good still as well, because the nuclear missile systems are absolutely devastating. My cat is knocking the mouse. Why do they always do this when I'm recording, bro? All right. It's fine. Over on this side, the Praetorian Guards coming even farther forward. Honestly, the ghillie suit snipers are so devastating that having the Praetorian Guards, some of the most elite of the Roman soldiers in this mod, going up against the ghillie suit snipers, soloing them is going to help out a lot. It's the cream of the crop versus the cream of the crop here. And you can just see the flood of Romans coming forward. Romans to a man. Beautiful. Either way, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below if you'd like to see some more Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2 in the future. Either way, why don't we go ahead and do our first time-lapse of the video as the mountain fortress here continues in its preliminary defense against this Roman army. We are up to 2,000 kills for the Romans, meaning 8,000 Russian soldiers remain, and we have 5.68 million Romans still remaining, meaning 3 million have died, meaning 3 nuclear missile systems shall be present for the next battle so far. All right, let's go ahead and time-lapse this overhead. Oh, boys, we are at 5.17 million remaining Roman soldiers, which means 8 nuclear missile systems, which is fairly solid, I will say. There's only 3,600 Russian army soldiers still remaining on the battlefield, so, you know, they're down to less than half of their troops left. Luckily, lots of TOS systems still alive, which can be the bread and butter of these defenders. You know, they're going to be the most kills, but they're not going to be getting that same kill output as before. I'm still hoping that they can get a decent number, though, and get our UN soldiers on the island some additional nuclear missile system support. We shall see, though. Yo, they're still defending, and they have 4.3 million Romans remaining. There's still 1,700 Russians remaining. So that means we're getting 17 nuclear missile systems now? That's actually pretty nuts. That's going to rip. All right, let's go ahead. I'm just going to let this ride for a bit because I am worried about storage space since we haven't even gotten to the main battle yet. So I'm just going to let this ride. Okay, guys, I came back. And they just kept winning, and so then I sent these guys on free move mode because I was like, whatever. And 25 of these TOS systems still remain on the battlefield, and they're still alive, and they wiped out all of the Romans. There were 6 million Romans. Now there's apparently just some coming from up the mountain over there and continuously attacking this guy over here. Who is attacking them? There's only 19,000 Romans remaining. The TOS systems killed all of them. I was not ready for this. Oh my god. So that means they get 60 nuclear missile systems, right? 100,000 goes into 6 million 60 times, right? Oh my god. All right. Oh, that's gonna be rough for the Romans. Let's see how this goes. I'll see you guys on the island fortress. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is the UN island fortress with representatives from every single Earth nation here. And we have our 60 nuclear missile systems in the middle. They have to drive off 5 million Romans at this point. We do have some Czech soldiers over here. We have Russian soldiers joining the battle again. We got more ghillie suit snipers over this way. We've got some Ukrainian assault soldiers over here, M1A2 Abrams, BTRs, again the 60 nuclear missile systems, which I am worried about crashing the game. We've got Chinese People's Army soldiers over here. Over this way, we have some European Union NATO troops. Over here, we have some Vietnamese soldiers, I believe. Yes, sir. We have Vietnamese soldiers over that way. Over this way, we have some more NATO troopers. And finally, over here, we have the rest of the nations throughout the world. The UN troopers here, representing all of the countries at once. So, let's go ahead and press start here and see if the defenders can in fact defend. I am very curious about the nuclear missile systems, and we've already got a nuke going off this way and this way. We have multitudes of nukes spreading out throughout the known world and racking up tons of kills as Romans just fly through the air. Now the thing is, the nuclear missile systems, they take a while to reload. But the 60 of them still have some that are still loaded and are still firing. Guys, this might be too much. This is absolute absurdity. It just clear-cut hundreds of thousands of Romans at once. 177,000 dead Romans on the battlefield. I don't even know if that includes the nuked Romans, since sometimes they'll die due to fall damage or other things, or sometimes explosive fire doesn't necessarily count as a kill, but there's 4.7 million Romans remaining. Those nuclear missile systems are absolutely devastating their lines, and they are honestly reloading pretty quick. I think it's just they're rolling fire instead of all firing at once, which is helping to just continuously get shots off. And so there's just Romans flying through the air every which way. Look at this. We do have actually Praetorian guards over here reaching the UN soldiers. So some of the stronger Romans are tough enough and have enough armor to actually reach the front lines of the fortress defense here. The island is not impenetrable, and the Romans do have 170 kills. The real problem is they're not getting any reinforcements since they're getting nuked. So maybe the Romans do have a shot at this, but it's looking rough. Okay, over here we have some of our EU soldiers getting destroyed. These are the guys with just 9mm, so it kind of makes sense as to why they're doing so poorly. But even still, the nuclear missile systems are preventing a lot of those Romans from getting forward. We already have 675,000 dead Roman soldiers. Over here, the Vietnamese troopers are firing away and getting tons of kills against these guys. They're actually keeping them at bay, as are, it looks like, the EU troopers over this way. Yeah, NATO is dominating in that region as well. And here, the Chinese army is actually dealing kind of similarly to the UN army on the other side, where the Romans are getting stopped somewhat, but only with the help of the nuclear missile systems. Otherwise, the Romans are actually getting some kills on them, but then more nukes appear, and suddenly, skadoosh! Bye-bye! I mean, it's honestly somewhat realistic considering the fact that Roman soldiers, they would be able to reach the enemy lines. They would, because the enemy will run out of ammo, or they'll have to reload, or, you know, what have you. So if there are 5 million Romans, a percentage of them would reach these troopers and be able to slice and dice them up a little bit. Losses would be huge, though. And on top of that, the nuclear missile systems would be the strongest weapon of the modern armies. And let's be honest, one nuke versus 5 million Romans, for any Roman that didn't die in the initial blast, the rest would likely surrender immediately, given the modern technology terrifying them. That would be my imagination. That's what I would think, and I would believe most people would believe the same. That being said, these Romans, they don't have a morale sort of factor. They're not going to be concerned about that. Ooh, the Vietnamese over here are actually getting eaten into pretty badly. Yoinks! And over here, M1A2 Abrams firing away, BTR is firing their flechetta rounds, and we've still got plenty of Russian soldiers, Czechoslovakian soldiers, ghillie suit US snipers, nuclear missile systems, as well as just so many troopers in the middle section that could still provide a very solid defense. We are down to 3.8 million Roman troopers remaining. That being said, though, some of the sections of the battlefield are faltering. So why don't we get a nice overhead of just the nukes arcing out here and see them do their damage for a bit. Alright guys, 4 minutes have gone by, and there's 2.79 million Romans remaining, meaning they're almost halfway through. However, some are starting to engage with the middle lines here. Some of the inner defenses are having to get sparked, and we have some collisions with ghillie suit snipers over this way. So these bridges have all fallen completely. Let's check in on the Chinese army over here, as well as the other boys over here. Who are these guys? Oh yeah, these are NATO soldiers. These guys are still holding strong, as are the Chinese soldiers. I think it helps that they're getting a little bit more backup from the nuclear missile system, since they're closer in proximity than the other bridges were, so I think that does make sense. There's also still M1A2 Abrams over here firing across at the enemies over this way, so they are definitely getting multitudes of kills all at once as well, doing a pretty bang-up job right there. So right now, the defending modern armies are doing a great job. They are doing a great job, but the Romans have a very good chance at potentially getting a W here. Let's zoom in on the Chinese over here, because they seem close to capitulating and dying outright to the Roman invasion. Okay, Chinese army ends up getting destroyed. Now the only bridge left is this NATO army over here, which they're having volleys of nukes dropped right in front of them. The radiation is going to be very brutal. But they are holding, I think, mainly because of all those nukes dropping over this way. This bridge being opened up, it doesn't matter too much, because again, more nukes coming through. Let's see how the... Oh my god, that's crazy. They are just dominating with the nukes. Ghillie suit snipers are dealing with some enemies. Clearly they've taken some losses up here, but it doesn't matter too much because it's such a trickle in of enemies. They can easily handle them. I feel like they are doing great on their own. I don't think they're having much of a problem at all. These guys over here are kind of in the back line, so they don't have to worry too much either. These guys over here have taken some losses from Romans, but again, doing a-okay, all things considered. I think we should watch the ghillie suit snipers for a while now, as they are most under threat. Alright boys, 1 million Romans now remain. That's a far cry from the 5 million to start. They have pushed the ghillie suit snipers back quite a bit during that time lapse, which is great. There's still a lot of nukes though flying. The NATO soldiers over here did end up dying, so all of the bridges have now fallen, and it is purely the interior defense going on, with this side and this side having the most attacks. Although these troopers seem to be holding out perfectly fine right now. Ghillie suit snipers, again, having a little bit more of a tough time. But the nukes, they've got everyone covered at the moment. They are just dominating the battlefield still. I think that this is going to be a modern trooper victory, but why don't we continue to watch from the overhead, watch these nukes land. It's actually overhead like this way, because I feel like most of the enemies are coming from over here still, so we might see more nukes over there. Let's go! Alright, it's been about 10 more minutes. Deaths have certainly slowed down for the Roman army. I think it's because they're a bit more spaced out now, so each nuke is not killing 100,000 at a time or whatever, which they earned, to be fair, with the TOSs clutching like 3 million Romans on their own. Absolutely insane. Yeah, there might be some balancing needed in the future for us, because that is absolutely nutty. But still, nuclear missile systems are carrying at the moment. I mean, you know, props to the M1s over here, also getting a serious amount of kills. ghillie suit snipers, the infantry, they're all participating, but I do think the nukes are dominating at the moment. Let's actually watch some of the nukes firing for a bit, because we haven't really watched that, and I think that would be kind of fun to watch. And there's a lot more activity over here than the other side, so I think let's watch these nukes firing away, baby. Alright, we're down to our final 100,000 Roman army soldiers. I don't even see any over here. Oh, no, wait. There's a few in here. Archers, actually, they could be the most effective in getting some final kills here, because the infantry, I don't think, is doing much now. Ghillie suit snipers are pretty small compared to what they were before, and the nuclear missile system, some of them over here, I did notice, have taken damage due to those archers. This one might even be dead. Wait, is it? It is! Is this one? Nope. Is this one? Nope. Is this one? Nope. Okay, one of them is dead. Honestly, the Russian army at the start here basically saved the defending modern army by getting them so many nuclear missile systems. It's crazy. Let's watch the ghillie suits over this way defending, because these guys are still getting charged by Praetorian Guards. 4,161 remaining modern army soldiers, 77,000 remaining Romans now. Alright, boys, this is just about the end here. There's still apparently 2,800 Romans remaining. They're firing out this way. I don't really know where said Romans are, but there's still 4,122 modern soldiers remaining. Modern soldiers get the victory, and I think it all had to do with the very first battle resulting in their victory here. Because they eliminated all of the Roman soldiers, they were able to get those big boa nuclear missile systems. But that being said, even still, the Romans cut through a ton of these guys. None of the bridges are intact, and they cut through a lot of the middle section, even killing some nuclear missile systems. So pretty impressive from both sides today. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace! I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.